Hello, everyone. Hello. So this is another one of these episodes where I'm rating the films and whatever else. Uh, there isn't a whole lot of movies for this guy. In case you can't tell who this is Jim Carrey movies, Jim Carrey movies, however you want to pronounce his name. Uh, and I haven't actually seen a lot of these movies either, so this is going to be a great list. I've definitely decided to do this at the right time. I probably should have watched some of these movies before I did it, but I'm just going to rate the ones I really know. So for instance, I've never seen this movie. I don't intend to see this movie. This is his first big movie, I think. This one's more recent. It doesn't look like something I would want to watch either. This one actually would be more something I want to watch. I've also just seen that it's disappointing. I'm supposed to have another role, but apparently I don't. So these are all going in disappointing, even though I've never seen them, right? So just remember, I've never seen these ones. I should have had another role for never seen, but I'm not going to deal with that now. I've never seen... I've not seen this, though I intend to see it quite soon. I think it's relatively good, apparently. Never seen Once Bitten. Never seen Pecan Pie, which looks terrible. I think it would actually go further down there. Yeah. I haven't seen either of the Sonic movies, even though they're more recent. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. And that's it. So from our 33, we're now down to 1, 2, 3. Oh, I haven't seen this either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I haven't seen, I haven't seen that either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we've got 21. Still a decent amount. This I definitely should have seen, and did I say I had seen it in my Disney rating thing? It looks terrible anyways. It's way at the bottom. It's not something I would want to see, but I will see it at some point. Anyways, let's begin. So, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. So this is the first one. A lot of people love Ace Ventura. I've never been that into it. I don't think it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's fine. I'd say it's in the middle. I've never been like, this is my top Jim Carrey movie. I love this movie. I need to see it, you know. Same goes for the second one. I think I preferred the second one to the first one, though. I can't really remember. I think, was the second one the one where he was coming out of the hippo? Because that was kind of funny. But they are good movies, don't get me wrong. I'm not as into them as other people would be. And the next movie is Batman Forever. So this is the one that had him as the Riddler. We had Tommy Lee Jones as... Is it Tommy Lee Jones? Yeah, I think it's Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. We had... I can't remember her name as Catwoman. I think, or no, was that Poison Ivy? I think that's Poison Ivy, and then we had Robin and stuff. I think that's Batgirl, and then that's Batgirl, and we also had Poison Ivy in it as well. But this compared to the other movies in this series were actually pretty good. I kind of like the Tim Burton, right? I kind of like the Tim Burton Batman series, even though it's pretty bad in a lot of people's eyes. Like, people hate Arnold Schwarzenegger's attempt at playing Mr. Freeze and all that, but I really quite like it because most of the people in it are like big stars. So there, for instance, we've got Jim Carrey, we've got Arnold, we've got Danny DeVito as the Penguin. We've got a lot of famous faces in it, so I kind of like it in that aspect. I think it was it Ben Affleck in this? No, Ben Affleck, it's way before his time. Was it, was it George Clooney in this one? I think it was George Clooney. But this is quite good. I would take it over both of these, probably. I also own this on DVD. I own all of these on DVD, actually. Next, we got Bruce Almighty. So, in this series, there was two Almighty movies. There was Bruce Almighty and there was Evan Almighty. I prefer Bruce Almighty. I actually really, really like this movie. I mean, you've got Morgan Freeman playing God. Like, what perfect casting. And everything that he did was chaotic. It was funny. His rivalry with Evan Almighty Evan in this movie, where when he plays God and then he controls him on the news, and that's pretty funny when he's controlling Evan and Evan's on the news going like blah 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 blah. It's quite a good movie. I wouldn't put it up here, but definitely. And we also have Jennifer Aniston as well, like all-star cast once again. Next, we've got Horton Hears a Who. Now, this is kind of like one of those comfort movies for me. It just makes me feel happy, or it just gives me a good feeling. I can't remember where it was or when it was the first time I saw this, but it just was one of those movies that just makes me feel happy in a sense. I think it's up here with Evan Almighty as well. So the premise of this movie was, I think Jim Carrey plays the mayor, I think. Right, our next movie is Dumb and Dumber 2. So, or maybe I should do Dumb and Dumber 1 first. I talked about this movie, yeah. So, this is probably one of my all-time favourite comedies. It's not very good by any means, but it's so dumb that it's hilarious. There's one scene in particular that stands out to me. It's a toilet scene, so that tells you all about it. Where where Harry is trapped in a toilet and he ate something bad and he ends up having quite an unfortunate event in his girlfriend's toilet, and the toilet doesn't flush, and it's just pretty funny.
Harry, are you in there?
Be right out!
I hope you're not using the toilet. It's broken.
Huh?
The toilet doesn't flush.
And then there's a car scene where Lloyd is like, do you want to hear the most annoying noise ever? And there's a lot of great scenes that come from this movie. It's a great movie. I would put it up here. It's by no means incredible to a lot of other people, but it's just one of my all-time favourites. Whereas the second one, no. I don't know how to put this. It's Dumb and Dumber to a different level. Like, this is Dumb and Dumber, and it's funny. This is them trying to be dumb, and they're beyond Dumb and Dumber, right? There's another movie that's called Dumb and Dumberer, which is not them. It's really stupid, but this is... So let me just give you the basics of this. This is them trying to cheat. They go to a ski resort. I can't really remember why. They went there and they ended up... He fell in love with this girl, Mary. Merry Christmas and whatever, but his name is Lloyd Christmas. It's a whole event, right? Or I think they ended up going to this place, but they didn't actually know where they were going because they drove Harry's car, which was a dog-shaped car and all sorts. But they ended up there, so it just was generally a dumb adventure. This, on the other hand, had him finding out he had a daughter, and then he had a liver transplant or something, and he had it when he didn't need it or something, and it's just like, that's beyond dumb. Like, he knew he was doing it for a practical joke, so I didn't rate this one very much at all. Or maybe I'd say disappointing. Yeah, probably say disappointing, so not a big fan of that. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind next is a fine movie. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not something I would actively watch again. I've watched it maybe twice. It's just, I'm not overly fond of it. Not much to say about it. I think it's Kirsten Dunst who's in it with him. But it's just fine. It's just average. This, on the other hand, is a pretty good movie. Not seen this in a long time, but I think this has Jim and, well, Dick in this case, and his wife Jane, they don't have anything in the house or something, so they steal the furniture. There's something about that, or they money launder. There's something about it. I have to watch it again, but I think it's an alright movie. I'd say probably above those ones. I know it's not very clear. I'm a fan of these movies when I can barely remember anything that happens. This, on the other hand, is a childhood favourite and an adult favourite, and it's all round a good movie. I really don't like Cindy Lou. I really don't like her. It's just a child actress, right? She did a good job. She did fine. I don't enjoy that part of the movie. And even like the Who's and Who'sville, they all look super weird, and I just don't like it. And her singing, and I'm not a fan of that aspect of the movie. But as Jim Carrey as the Grinch, that's all right. I enjoy that. I mean, if you compare it to the original cartoon, a lot of people would probably prefer the cartoon over this, but I think this is a good adaptation of it, and it's got a cool set, and it starts off going into the snowflake and all those sorts, and it's like, I can almost remember what the narrator says, so it's like, you see that snowflake on your cheek or something, this is where the Whovilles lived, or it's just a fascinating film, and then it's like, dun 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 dun, only 12 days till Christmas, and something like that. Yeah, it's an alright movie. I'd probably put it above, or would I? I don't know. No, I'd probably keep it there. Next, we've got I Love Philip Morris. I love you, Philip Morris. And this is an interesting one because years ago I bought a box set of 3 Jim Carrey movies, and at that point I'd never seen this film before, but it was one of the ones that was in it. I also had Liar Liar and what was the third film? I think it was it was The Cable Guy. It was these 3. So yeah, I had those 3 together. I'd never seen any of these movies at that point, but then I watched them all and quite liked them all. But this one was a really interesting one. So basically, Jim's character in this starts off him as a straight man who's married and has a kid, but then it turns out he's actually gay, and then he becomes a criminal as well, and he ends up in jail, and he meets Ewan McGregor's character, and he falls in love with him. His fat character is Philip Morris. This is also based on a true story, I believe. I think the people who it was based off of were quite happy with the movie, unlike with Patch Adams. But it's a really good movie. I think it's quite long as well, but it's a very interesting journey because Jim Carrey's character keeps committing all these crimes and all these things, and then Philip Morris doesn't really like that. And it's just a really fun adventure. I would put it, I'd probably put it at top of awesome, or would I put it up here? I don't know. I don't really know. It has potential to be up here, but put it at the top of awesome just now. Now, Kick-Ass 2, this is a much more smaller role that Jim Carrey has in it. He is some sort of sergeant. I've only seen this movie once, so I don't have much of an opinion on it, but the Kick-Ass movies, I, for years, was against watching. I was like, I'm not really into them, but then I watched them and they're quite fun. Probably the first one's better than the second one, but the second one has Jim Carrey in it, and he's a sergeant of some sorts, and I'd say it's probably worth watching. I literally can't tell you a whole lot about this movie other than Jim Carrey's the sergeant, and the main character and the sidekick, they're a bit older. That's the basis of it. Now here's an interesting one for you. Jim Carrey's a series of unfortunate events. What can I say about this? Oh, well, there was a TV show that came out quite recently about this, a series of unfortunate events. I haven't seen it, so I don't have much of an opinion about it, but I hate it. I mean, that's my opinion of it. I hate it. I haven't seen it, so I can't really have an opinion about it, but the only Lemony Snicket's A Tale of a Series of Unfortunate Events is, for me, the Jim Carrey version, because I grew up with this one. I saw it in the cinema. I saw lots of... I've seen it hundreds, billions of times, whereas the TV show, I'm just like, you're creating something that's already good, that's already got a good version of it, and it's got the guy from is it How I Met Your Mother? I can't remember his name. I haven't seen that TV show yet, so I don't know what his name is. But it's not for me. Whereas this movie is very kooky, very interesting. It starts out with a trailer for a different movie, and it's pretty funny. So a similar like take is Tropic Thunder, where they give you all these trailers beforehand, but made up, and it's pretty funny. But this is a different movie it's starting off with, and blah blah blah. It's very funny. Although this isn't a particularly funny movie, but it's got an all-star cast. We've got Meryl Streep, we've got Billy Connolly, got a few other interesting people, but genuinely his portrayal of Count Olaf was pretty good. The children actresses and actors were pretty good as well. So yeah, I'd definitely say it's worth watching. Probably up here. I am probably up there actually. It's just like a childhood favourite. I've seen it loads of times. Probably one of the ones I've seen the most on this list. Next we got Liar Liar. So like I said, this was part of a triple collection, part of a box set, and I hadn't seen it beforehand. But I guess you can probably guess what this movie's about. It's about a guy that just lies. Actually, surprisingly, it's not. It's a guy that wants to lie. How do I put this? He does lie a lot to begin with, right? So he says things like, "Oh, he'll attend his kid's birthday. He'll go do this," and it makes his son very upset. So his son wishes he can't lie anymore, and it ends up a pretty funny movie where he's having all these fits. For instance, one of his best scenes in the movie is him trying to say that the pen is red, but it's actually blue, so he's trying to say it's red, but he's like, the pen is blue, because he can't lie.
The color of this pen is... The color of this pen is... The color of the pen that I hold in my hand is royal blue.
So it's pretty funny, and the person that he's trying to back up as well, because he's a lawyer, she's pretty frustrating in a sense. But it's a very, very good movie. I'd say it's awesome. Definitely up there. I still wouldn't say it's incredible though. Next, we've got Me, Myself, and Irene. I think of the ones that I've seen like a lot, this is probably the least amount. Like I've seen it maybe three or 2 times or something, but it's alright. So it's basically a guy that's got a split personality. So he's friendly half the time, and then the other half of the time he's not. He's crazy. Is it Reese Witherspoon that's with him in this? Or no, it's Zoe Zelwelling, or I can't think. But so she plays Irene, and in this, I think, from what I remember, he starts out with, so he's got a wife way back at the start or something who cheats on him, and she has 3 sons. The 3 sons, she then leaves Jim Carrey's character with the 3 sons, and he has to raise them on his own, but they're obviously not his children, but he still raises them on his own. I think, from what I remember, he's quite a famous actor, the dad, but he was in Hitch, I think, and he was in a few other comedy movies and things. But anyways, so he has 3 sons, goes away with his wife at the time, and then he goes on a car journey with Irene, and it's an interesting trip. I'd say it's worth watching. Probably about there. This, on the other hand, I've only seen it once. Don't remember a whole lot about it. It's a man, and he has penguins. I think it's a man that ends up with penguins. I think he had ordered something, and he ended up with penguins. I remember them being in his apartment, and he didn't particularly want them there. Think of it like the Smurf version of penguins or something. The penguin version of Smurfs. I don't know. I'd say it's underwhelming because I don't know. I have definitely seen it, but literally can't think. Now, this is The Cable Guy, and my most fond memory of this movie is when Jim Carrey's character is singing Jefferson Airplane, Somebody to Love. Because that's the first time I had ever heard that song. I know that sounds terrible, but that was the first time I ever heard that song, and I loved it. And it was like, don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
Ooh, Diane, don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
And it was his version as well. It was pretty just epic. But anyways, Jim Carrey plays this cable guy who has a fascination with one of his customers, and I think he's actually he's not a cable guy or something. He's a creepy, scary guy in a sense. One of Jim Carrey's, well, it's still comedy, but it's more along the creepy sense. I think it's awesome. Probably about there, yeah. I haven't seen this one as much as some of the other ones, but every time I've seen it, the other guy who was in it is Matthew Broderick, the guy who played Simba in Lion King, the adult version. I can't think. I know his name's Matthew something. Next, so we're down to our last four. We've got The Mask, and a lot of people love this movie. It is a good movie. It's got great effects and things like that. I wouldn't rate it as one of my top movies. It's interesting. It's definitely decent. Definitely worth watching. But it's the funny thing about this movie. One of the biggest memories I have of it is when I ordered it on DVD. It came in and it was an American version of it, so I couldn't play it in this country. So I had to order it again, and I still have that copy. That's my biggest memory of it. Well, obviously, of course, there's the things that happen in the movie as well. We've got a pretty good bad guy who's interesting, but definitely worth watching. Maybe about there. It is compare it to the second movie, Son of the Mask. God, what an awful movie. Yeah. Right, now we're down to the last three, and all three of these ones are really good. So number 23 was an interesting find for me. I just all of a sudden found it one day and I watched it. I actually can't remember a whole lot about, but when I watched it though, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's a mind boggler. Like, it makes you think of things, and I definitely really liked it. I have to watch it again though at some point. So number 23, that's what I mean. Basically, I think there's a guy who's telling a story about another guy. It turns out he is that guy, but he didn't know he was that guy, and there's a whole connection around 23. Everything adds up to 23 or something. But it was an interesting story, and I really enjoyed it. So now, which one do I want to do last? I think I'll do that one last. So next we've got Yes Man. So I think out of all the Jim Carrey movies, apart from this one, I think this might be my most watched one. Even though it's a more recent, well, I say it's a more recent one. It came out in 2013 or something. But it's just, I have so many memories about this movie. Like, he's in a job where he keeps talking to one of his friends. He ends up, he didn't used to talk to him until he went to this seminar where he had to say yes to everything. He got told yes, 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 and that's the whole premise of the movie. So then he ends up becoming friends with this guy, doing things, and it's just a brilliant movie. So a movie that I briefly mentioned in my sad moments thing was Big Fish. I compare it to that in a sense, where it's just a huge big adventure movie. Same with Forrest Gump. It's just a nice big adventure where Jim Carrey's character just has to say yes to absolutely everything, coming from saying no to everything. He's just yes, yes, yes. Obviously it ends up backfiring at a few points, but for the whole movie it's just fun. It's also how do I put this? It's also where I kind of got a fascination with American states. I know that sounds random and weird, but I could probably name all the American states, and this is where it started, because Jim Carrey and his girlfriend go to Nebraska, and I think it was Lincoln, Nebraska he went to, which is the capital of Nebraska. So this is where my fascination began with it. But anyways, I rate it way up the top. Incredible. Definitely incredible. And now, last but not least, The Truman Show. Now, I think as far as Jim Carrey movies go, aside from the big ones like Grinch and The Mask, this might be one of his most renowned ones. It's just epic, it's just brilliant, it's just amazing. It's definitely at least it's either my favourite or my second favourite compared to one of these. But it's so well done. Like, so the whole thing about this is this guy, Truman, had spent his whole life in this town, growing up, believing whatever else, but it turns out he was part of a TV show where they filmed his whole life, and where he lives is a TV set. It's all fake. So his wife, his friends are all fake. It's all actors. It's just fascinating. And then when he eventually finds out, it's just an awesome ending. And the guy himself, like the character he's playing, I think it's one of his most friendliest roles in a sense. He's just such a lovable guy and whatever else. But that's definitely the top. So with that is the end of our list. Definitely have to see a few of these ones down the bottom. I probably will see these ones quite soon. This looks quite interesting and majestic, but I doubt I'd ever see this. But anyways, hope you have enjoyed this episode. So if you didn't see my last episode, I did Robin Williams movies. I've still got a few actors on the cards to do, such as Tom Hanks and Arnold, but this is the list. So our top 3 movies are Truman Show, Dumb and Dumber, and Yes Man. I'd probably put Yes Man above that. Yeah. Definitely this one has potential to go up there, but I just feel it's better off there. But anyways, hope you have enjoyed, and until next time, whatever I play, bye.